Hi there, everybody, and welcome to this week's Writers Chat. We're glad you're here. You're with us today, either in the chat room or on watching this a replay, and we're excited to be here with everybody today. This is the place where we talk about all things writing for writers and by writers. We're really glad we got a lot of our regular crew in the chat room, and we've got a special guest today. First, some introductions. My name's Jean Wise. I'm one of the co-hosts, and I'm joined today by Johnny Alexander,
Hey.
Bethany Jett.
Hi.
And we asked Rebecca to stay on because Rebecca knows our speaker here today too, and we thought she could be part of the conversation on that. So we're glad that you're with us today. And our special guest is Angelene Woodard. Did I say that right, Angelene?
Good. Yes, ma'am.
That way. And she is a blogger and a speaker. And I have to tell you, I read on her website, she is a former homecoming queen.
Oh, cool.
Oh, the dream of all girls, right?
Right.
So we're glad to have her with us. And we're going to talk a lot about writing and blogging and maybe a little bit about speaking and whatever. And they came up with the coolest title today. And I wrote it down. Remember, learning to love the thing you hate, and a lot of time we added the thing about writing that you hate. So I can't wait to get into that conversation a little bit. So Angelene, welcome to our little group.
Thank you.
And we're so glad you're with us today on that. Why don't you tell, I think a lot of the people probably aren't familiar with you. Why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, what you do.
Okay, sure. My name is Angelene, and you did say it right, and I commend you on that because it's a mouthful. So my name is Angelene, and I am a wife and a mother and a homeschool mom. I homeschool 2 of our 3 kids. I actually cheated this year and sent our youngest to preschool. So I'm cheating a little bit in the homeschool world if there's rules to follow, but I'm breaking those rules, and I homeschool the 2 older boys, and I'm a blogger, and I blog at unqualifiedmom.com, and all of that whole blog and that platform was sparked from my frustration and experiences as a homeschool mom, because it just really proved to me how truly unqualified I am.
And if I encourage you guys to go over and look at her header on that blog. The blog is dynamic and full of personality, but the header on the blog will bring a smile to your face. How did you do that? Well, we won't spoil it for everybody, but talk to us a little bit about that. What do you blog about then?
I blog about mommy issues, and I think there's kind of an epidemic amongst Christian moms in today's world where we just don't feel good enough. We don't feel like we're doing it right. We need to try harder and be more on behalf of our children and our husbands and our churches and all of the things that we're involved in, and we get overwhelmed, and we're never satisfied with where we're at and where the Lord has led us, and we're just working, and we get burned out and we get exhausted and we get discouraged, and then we just have a really bad day and we cry ourselves to sleep at night. And I've just done that so many times. I needed some relief, and the Lord really allowed me to get really miserable before He jumped in and saved me. Yeah. Not save my soul. He did that a long time ago. But I just mean, save my my circumstances, and He changed my heart. Yes, and that's what I blog about. I try to show moms we're not all perfect. Nobody's getting it right all day, every day. We're never gonna get it right. That's not the point. The point is how to trust in the Lord to do what He's called us to do.
Sounds like a place of encouragement.
I try for it to be, yes.
Yeah, and I imagine you get some different comments and interactions because of that. You're hitting a real felt need with mom. How long have you been blogging?
Well, I've been blogging. I just launched Unqualified Mom in September, and I did that with the help of Rebecca Doris because she's amazing. She's just so good with all of the graphics and her creative ideas. So I feel honored and blessed to have been able to work with her on that. But I started that in September. We worked on it because she's a homeschool mom as well. So we just worked our tails off all summer and then started homeschooling in the fall and launched in the fall. So Unqualified Mom is fairly new. before that, I had a little blog. It was called Watering the Seeds. And I did that for about a year. And I honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. And I was okay with that for a while. And finally I got to the point where I was like, Lord, where are we going with this? What is the point? What am I trying to do? Because I've got a lot on my plate. So I just stepped away from it for about a year and just really wanted to seek him and get clear on what I was doing. So for a year, I didn't do anything except think about it and pray about it and things like that. And then Unqualified Mom fell into place.
That really, I think that's great that it gives us permission to try something and then change it as we learn, as we grow, as God directs us. Johnny, I know you're muted, but you've started and stopped several different blogs as your career's gone on too, haven't you?
Yeah, because as a novelist, it's really hard to find that one niche thing. And not only that, I write in multiple genres. So it's not like I can even just focus on like a historical era or the cozy mysteries or whatever. So it makes it really, really hard to know exactly what to do. And I'm still a little bit stymied. So I blog very irregularly on my website. But now I do have the Novelist Online website, which seems to be going. I'm in a groove with this, but it's not even a year old. So yeah. Sometimes you just have to keep, I don't know. I love what you said about just taking that year to think and pray about it until something just then comes together, till God answers that prayer.
Yeah.
How has it evolved for you? How is it different this time than it was last time? Would you say, Angelene?
Practically speaking, I'm sleeping through the night.
I love it.
When I started the first blog, I had a little one, our little one that's in preschool now. I was nursing her. I was up all night. She didn't sleep through the night until she was 2.5.
Wow.
So I was just kind of overwhelmed and exhausted and depleted so much of the time. All of that changed for me. I could just have a clear thought and I could actually hear from the Lord in a clear way. And I think I was just putting a lot of pressure on myself when the kids were so little, that I'm supposed to be and do what I was before kids. I was attempting to do that. I was foolishly attempting to do that. And I wasn't being realistic with what I was capable of. More so than that, I wasn't being realistic with what the Lord was asking me to do. I was taking matters into my own hands a little bit. I started it with his leadership and his guidance, but I'll be honest with you, I kind of took it. I was like, okay, Lord, I'm good. I got it from here. I kind of took over, and that's when things kind of got messy, and I didn't have any direction, and it just wasn't working. It wasn't working, and I didn't have a consistent message for my followers. So that's when I just stepped back and took that break, which the Lord honored that. He blessed that.
That is great. How often do you post now? Like what's your routine now?
Well, I post every other Friday, and it is consistent. It's not every Friday. It's not twice a day. You know, there's a lot of professional bloggers that are really putting a lot of content out there. I'm not in a place right now where I can do that. I've got a lot on my plate, and blogging is just a portion of that. So I have other priorities, my family and things like that. So I'm blogging. I publish every other Friday. I like to think of it as payday. Every other week I publish a new post. So I write for another site as well. So I kind of squeeze that in. But realistically, what works for me right now is every other Friday.
It's consistent. That's what, so your audience knows when your posts come. I don't think it necessarily, I agree with you. A lot of people do produce a lot of content, but to have to sit there and say you have to produce twice a day, every day really is hard to do. And so you've done
it's a lot.
And I'm thinking you're thinking about your audience, which is moms. They don't have time to fill up their mailbox and have lots of stuff every day.
Exactly. I'll just be honest with you. I get irritated when I just get so many emails from so many people. I don't need all of that. So I just delete it or I unsubscribe. And I don't want my followers to get sick of me. So if there's a demand, if they're like, we love you, we want to hear more from you, then I can try to, fill in that gap if there is one. But right now, so far, so good.
How have you built your audience up? How has readers found you?
Consistency is key.
Okay.
Consistency is key where they know what to expect. Word of mouth. I'm doing a couple of different things where I'm trying to just get the brand, if you will, to get Unqualified Mom out there. I'm wanting to order those. I haven't done it yet because I'm scared to do it. I'm scared of what people are going to think. But I want to put like bumper stickers on my vehicle.
Yeah.
When I'm driving around town, somebody will say, "Oh, what is that?" Like, I think they're going to have one of two reactions.
Great.
Either she's an unqualified mom. What has she got going on? I want to hear all about her business. Or I'm an unqualified mom. Let's go to her site and see what that is. So I've got that in the back of my mind for getting followers.
I think that's great.
Well, thank you. Other than that, I'm consistently blogging. I blog for another site. So I try to send, those readers back to my blog. And social media. I'm on social media. Yeah. And I do that consistently as well. And I try to put information out there that is supportive and encouraging and uplifting in the Lord. And then every now and again, I'll put a little plug in there for myself.
Yeah. Tina put in maybe a car magnet too. And that's kind of what I was thinking, Tina. Yeah, the car magnets. And then you could take them off and put them back on as you need them and stuff on that. And her point, it would be larger and easier to read. And I think that's a great point. Yeah. That is a great point. Bethany, you're our marketing expert. You have ideas for, or what did you think of the bumper sticker?
I think the bumper sticker is a good idea. It's something we don't think about doing things off of social media because we just always go there. So I think it's a good idea. The blog is amazing. Like the website is so dynamic.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Like I love the header. I love everything. And I like the Unqualified Mom too because it's a great name. Like I'm so glad that you were able to snag it. Yeah. I think it hits a pain point for every mom. So you get to talk about all of that stuff. So I think it's great. I think Instagram could really be like your big deal. Like if you focus on one, that would be the one I would say to go to.
And Rachel pointed out in the chat room, that's where she found out about you. Was on Instagram. Okay. So see there, it's where people are discovering you. And we've talked Instagram quite a bit on this writers chat, haven't we? So you're on Instagram then, obviously.
I am, and I'm brand new to that. I was very reluctant to do any social media just because it sucks you in and takes over your life. So I try to be intentional about that. But yeah, I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram, and that's a new thing for me. But I've had some success there, and a little tip that I've learned that you ladies probably already know about it. If you go on, like, let's say I go to Jean's page. Are you on Instagram?
Just a little.
Just a little bit? Okay.
Don't tell Jill's on the chat room. Don't tell Jill that. Jill in the chat room is our Instagram queen. So is Bethany.
Okay. Say you go to Jill's Instagram. Let's do it
that way.
If you go to somebody else's Instagram page and then you can make a comment, that opens up the door because everybody else is like, oh, well, who is this person and what does she have to say? And then they can click on your link. And I was actually doing that before I thought I could apply that to my blog. And it works.
Yeah.
It does work.
Bethany, you want to come in on that a little bit on Instagram?
Are you wanting me to throw in some Gary Vee right now? Because that's
why not? She's
all right,
into this. Go ahead.
I think we talked about this maybe a couple weeks ago, but he calls it the $1.80 strategy, where you're giving your 2 cents to people on Instagram, same exact thing. And he suggests same thing, like find a hashtag or, that is in your niche, and then look for the top people and posts in there and leave something of value in their comments, not like full picture, because people just spam that, but something like that means something. And I've never been able to do an entire $1.80's worth of cents because it takes too long, but you can get like 4, 5 to 10, at a time if you're doing it. I've had more engagement with those people than I have sometimes people who follow me already, because they'll come back and comment, or they'll leave a comment on theirs, and sometimes it's a follow back, which is great. So the engagement strategy on Instagram is genius. So love that.
Engagement is key. What did Johnny? What are you guys writing there to keeping track? You're sending. Tell us what you were doing over there, Johnny, in the chat.
Being silly.
Being silly.
Well, do you remember we used to? I'm sorry. Yeah, I got a little bit off track here. When Bethany used to mention Brendan Bouchard, we would say we're going to charge her $1 every time she does that. Well, now I'm thinking $1.80 for each time she
mentions this book. Well,
I'm listening to him for you. That way, okay?
Just a little writer's chat silliness going on.
A little silliness going on. But that is a great transition point, and you don't know how you did that. Remember, today's theme is learning to love the thing, especially the writing thing, that you hate. And Rebecca and Angelene kind of came up with that. And we know Bethany and Jill love Instagram and love Brandon and love whatever his name is. Did you Gary V. And all that, and that brings a passion, and I'm sensing that with Angelene and her. That this is a topic as an unqualified mom that her passion's bubbling over. So I don't know, Rebecca or Angelene, which one of you kind of came up with that theme, and let's explore that a little bit.
Well, Angelene came up with the title, but the reason I wanted to tell you all about Angelene is because the whole unqualified mom is. Her passion is to encourage women to embrace their weakness so that God's strength can shine through. And in some of her early writing, like on her first blog, Watering the Seeds, I was just so amazed by her voice. She had such a pronounced, enjoyable, entertaining voice. She's really funny. And I would tell her, I just love your voice. And she'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing. And it was obvious that God had given her a gift and she didn't even know it. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought, she's really honed that now, and she's studied platform. And Angelene, do you want to talk about how your focus on social media and likes and all that has changed with your strategize and everything? Because she's taught me so much just working with her.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
I think the number one thing that changed for me is when I stepped back away from it emotionally. I had a lot of self-worth, just to be honest with you, in value in how many likes I got, how many comments I got, what people were saying or not saying about the content that I was putting out there. And I was so emotionally involved with it, I would get either really, really excited or really, really discouraged. And at the end of the day, it's not my content. I'm writing for the Lord, and He is inspiring the things that I have to say. So it's really His business on how many likes the post gets. And I was obsessing about it. It was taking too much time from my family and from the homeschooling, emotionally and mentally, I should say. It was taking too much time where I'm checking it and checking it and checking it, and it doesn't really matter. The numbers don't really matter. What matters is if I was being obedient or not. And I had to kind of get over that hump, that emotional tie to what everybody else was saying and thinking. Because you appreciate the encouragement and the positive comments. I mean, we definitely need that, but that's not the end all be all of why we're writing.
It comes through. It definitely, your voice comes through. They get to know you very easily. Has that changed for you, or it sounds like you had that from the very beginning? It must have come pretty naturally to be able to express yourself authentically.
I've my personality is one where I don't have a lot of filter. I say what I'm thinking, and the older I get, I try to be a little bit more mature than what's going on, in my head. But I guess I got a little bit, I was just okay with who I am and just brave. I say things a little bit differently. I say things that everybody's thinking, but they're not willing to say. And I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of that. Now, with that being said, I do let my husband proof all of my posts before I put them out there, because he's my filter, and he can say, okay, you really can't say that, or you're gonna, not that I'm trying to offend anybody, but you just want to be respectful and be careful. So my husband gets all of the credit for keeping me in line.
One thing my granny, sorry.
No, go ahead.
One thing my granny just told me this morning, she said she just heard that 1/3 of the people are going to love what you say. 1/3 of the people are going to hate what you say, and 1/3 of people are not going to care one way or another. And that helped me so much, because I would love everybody to love what I say, but then Jesus did say, if everybody loves you, then you're not my disciple. So it's good to know it from the beginning and just say, okay, 1/3 of the people aren't going to like me at all. 1/3 could care less what I say, and then be so thankful for that little 1/3 that likes me.
Yeah.
And that's so freeing for me.
That also gives you a perspective when somebody unsubscribes.
Yes.
You know, when I see an unsubscribe come across my emails, like, oh, I failed. What did I do? Yeah. And now I think they're just not my audience. I want somebody that's active and involved, who wants to be there. What is your thing, Bethany? 1,000 true fans or something like that? You want to?
Oh, no.
Didn't you say something about, somebody has said something about you have 1,000 true fans? Doesn't make 10,000.
Yeah, I'd rather have a small targeted list than one that's really big, where they're not reading it or caring about it and then just eating up the space. Like, I'm really happy when you have a high open rate on email and a very low unsubscribe, because it means I'm probably hitting what needs to be hit.
Yeah, and stuff. Oh, there we go. We had music. On that. Yeah, that is exactly right. But, you know, I want to go back to something you said, Angelene, about the numbers, about God will take care of that. That, it almost is, I think we all got a little frustrated last week when we heard that you needed, what was it? And we had some discussion on the Writers Chat members page about you needed like 10,000 to have some of the publishing houses looked at us, and people were adding up where they were. And so we focused last week a lot on numbers. So I think it's got to be a part of that if we're building our platform, but we don't base our emotional or our value on it, which is kind of what you're saying, right, Angela?
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. I don't think that our self-worth and our value and the message that we have to say and our approval of others, just because you have a subscriber that, you know, for me, I'm like, okay, check. They agree and they endorse what I say, and then you have somebody unsubscribe, and it's, you know, the end of the world. And like you were saying, Jean, you know, it's just so sad. I think we have to step back and remove ourselves from that, from that emotionally. Yeah, that's the whole point, and why you platform, you know, why we're trying to do this is to get your message out there. But it cannot be the end all be all. You've got to be okay with having some approval and some disapproval. It's kind of like what I do with my kids when they get mad at me, especially you know, my oldest son now, he'll say, well, Mom, you're just not my best friend. I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm not here for your approval. I'm not here to be your best friend. My job is to be your parent and to be your mother. So what is my job as a writer? When somebody unsubscribes and is ultimately saying, I'm not going to be your best friend, am I going to be okay with that and continue on, or am I going to, you know, crawl up in the fetal position and cry in the floor of the shower?
Yeah, that's exactly. You know, Rebecca skimmed over a little bit your tagline. I noticed your tagline on your website. I think it was towards the bottom. Embracing my weakness. Is it discovering? Yes. Discovering his strength. I abbreviated my notes. I get received here and stuff. How'd you come up with that? That's a really neat tagline.
Yeah, thank you. I can't take any credit for that. That came from heaven. That was divinely inspired when I launched the website. And when we launched the website, because I feel like Rebecca and I were just like, you know, in this together. I didn't have a tagline. I had, you know, you got your little checklist on everything that I think I'm supposed to have. You know, I've got the header, I've got the logo, I've got the this, I've got the this. I didn't have a tagline, and I just started blogging, and it was, I don't know, do you remember? It was a couple of weeks, couple months, and I had an idea of what I wanted it to be. but you know, all of the pros are like, it has to be concise, it has to send a message. I didn't have the perfect tagline, and I just went ahead and launched anyway. I wasn't waiting for it to be perfect. I just went ahead and went out there, and then it fell into place. It fell into the place, and the Lord, he summed it up for me one morning when I was studying, and said, this is what it needs to say. This is how it needs to be.
That is great.
She texted me back and forth all these different taglines. And I think it helps. Now I do that. If I have I've been working on a tagline, and so I will text people, and I think it really does help to bounce things off of people and get, how does this sound to you? Because we can find something we love and then go for it, and then it means something totally different to somebody else. So I've sent her things now.
What a great idea. And, and that may be one of the key lessons of this whole conversation today, is that this is a process. Right. And it continues to evolve as we do that. And then there is also to say to the methodology of, and I don't know what it's called, like the rule of 10 or something, that you can come up with the first 3 ideas fairly quickly. And then you have to dig and dig and dig to come up with 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And it's also often that's where the treasure is the little bit later idea that evolves based out of the first one. Don't grab the first idea necessarily on that way. I think that's a key thing. And that's sort of what you did. And I love the lesson, launch anyway and let the tagline come. So often we wait for perfection, and that's a really great form of procrastination, I think, sometimes.
It can be. And I think Unqualified Mom in general has given me permission to not be perfect. To say, I don't have the answers, but I'm moving on, I'm pressing forward. I'm going to continue to do the things that I'm not qualified to do because the Lord's called me to do them, and just let that be it.
Wow. Well, Bethany, what you want to talk a little bit, what did you say? The first part of writing?
Oh, so there's that show on Netflix. It's called Comedians Getting Coffee in Cars with Jerry Seinfeld, and he'll take the comedians out. And I think he was talking to Tina Fey, and they were talking about writing the season's worth of shows. Like the first part's really easy, but then you get to that last part, and it's really, really hard to get the characters to do all that. And I was thinking, that's how it was writing. So when you said that, it made me think of it. Like, it can be so easy to do the beginning, but the middle is hard. So it's actually encouraging that they have trouble with that too, as amazing as they are in their careers with all the experience they have. And yet that just seems to be the place where it's the hardest. So I found that encouraging. So
it's messy in the middle a lot of times, isn't it? Messy in the middle and all that. Rebecca and Angelene, why don't you talk a little bit about starting a blog? Some of the creativity. I know Johnny asked a little bit about your platform or your theme. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of the tools that you used?
Rebecca, you can go ahead because you're the whiz on that.
Well, I've done WordPress blogs, and I was doing it for a client this last year, and it's a long story, but I decided I wanted to try something new besides WordPress, and Wix is different. So I decided to try that with my own blog, and it worked really well. So I took that other client's blog that I had worked on for months and moved it to Wix in like a week.
Is that really Wix?
Yes, ma'am.
Wix.
And with that, you can make a pretty amazing site for free. And then if you like it, you can upgrade. The difference is Wix can be a little bit more expensive in the beginning, but there's a lot less of the nickel and dimes. Everything is under Wix, so you're not having to pay for plugins and upgrades and all this kind of stuff. And I think there's maybe a little, but I've never needed to do that because everything is included that I've ever needed, and I use a lot of different things. And it's www.wix.com. So Wix has pretty much everything you need, like stock photos. They have free stock photos just right there if you need them. I was doing a lot of custom for Angelene, but I think she takes it from here, right, Angelene? You just get your own stock photos right there, don't you? Is that right?
I use Unsplash.
Okay, they use Unsplash too, so you can do it right in there.
Yeah, they've got great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
And did you have some video on that, at least on your front page too? Didn't you have some video?
Yeah,
was
the
interesting.
video, the pictures and all of the video was done with either my cell phone or Rebecca's cell phone or my husband's cell phone.
Wow.
So I don't have a lot of fancy equipment. So I can just sit around and say, oh, I can't do this because, I can make all of the excuses, or I can say, I've set a deadline, I'm going to launch, we've got to get this done. Let's just use what we've got. Let's just make do with what we've got. Because honestly, that's life. That's what all of us are doing. That's how you cook. That's how you pay the bills. You make do with what you've got. And then the Lord, he takes the rest of it and covers and blesses the rest of that, on our behalf. So that's what we did with all the photo and video. We just used what we had.
Yeah, that sounds great. And then you just kind of put it together from there. So you really like this Wix site, it sounds like, Rebecca. I'm not familiar with that at all.
Yes, I do like it a lot. But I still have a WordPress site that I use the free version. But I like what all Wix allows you to do. And I still have the free version on Wix for my own graphic design site. And
do they provide some themes then that for in order to build it?
They do, but I'm kind of whatever, control freak. So I just
you create your own then.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's easy. It's so much easier than WordPress because you don't have to code or any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And with the videos, we did use Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects to get like the trailer and the other one.
Oh, well, it's really neat. And any kind of movement video always brings you in, I think. So Rebecca, tell the audience what other pages you have. I think you probably have an about page.
Yes, she has an about page. You tell her, Angelene, this is your idea.
I don't remember. I have to pull it up.
She has an about page where she does a video explaining. It's her message every time she opens her mouth. I'm just like, wow, I needed that. And I have needed it so much with my child rearing and my own platform, because just talking to Angelene has reminded me that I don't have to be perfect. I can just go with what I have and do something that God has laid on my heart. And with the podcasting a few weeks ago, I really needed to hear Angelene today and remind me of all this, because I'm in perfection mode thing and I cannot podcast yet because I'm not perfect. And like Jill said, I have a phone, I can do that. So I really
It's exactly on that. Can you repeat, Bethany? What did you say? Tina asked. Did you say Adobe Premiere Pro? And
After Effects. It's all Adobe suite thing.
Okay, that is great. So, what did you learn by doing your about page? Do you guys have tips to pass on about that?
I think, practically speaking, the about, you mean like behind the scenes,
or anything, or what did you share there?
I don't have a traditional about page as far as I'm trying to make myself look picture perfect, because I'm not. And that's to me is just false advertising. To say, oh, I've been happily married to my husband for 18 years is not true. We have had our ups and downs. The kids get on my nerves. I was a very unsuccessful real estate agent. All of the things that are on the about page are true. They're true. And I hope that other unqualified moms or unqualified anybody could identify with that. So my about page speaks to the platform. So I've tried to be consistent in that message all the way through. I don't want to say I'm an unqualified mom and lean on the Lord and then have this picture perfect about page where I've accomplished, all of these wonderful things, because that's sending two different messages. So my about page is consistent with what I'm trying to say all day, every day.
Is that the page where you have some silly pictures on? You're making faces?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is too. And it does. Like I said, I went to your blog and I smiled. So that was kind of neat. Do you see this blog becoming a book?
I don't know. I don't know if the blog would become a book. I'll just be honest with you. The blog exists because of a book. I'm trying to build a platform.
Okay.
I I probably shouldn't say this at a writers group, but the only, the only reason that I'm blogging is to build a platform because I want to push a book.
I think that's realistic.
So
I think that's realistic.
I didn't wake up and say, oh, I want to be a mommy blogger. Oh, I've got all this time. I want to commit, and stress myself out and create a whole website. That's not why I'm doing this. There is there's a reason behind it. So I have written a book. I have a completed manuscript, and I'm shopping for an agent, and in that process of what is next, and I'm trying to look good in front of a publisher. It's not. I don't have a great humongous following. I don't have all of this impressive content where I've got years and years of experience. What I have is what I have, and it's the very best that I have to offer, and that's where the blog came from.
Yeah.
So I think what's that dude's name? I think his name is Furtick. What is it? Stephen Furtick. He has a book called Unqualified. Mm-hmm. And it's got a lot of information in it. It's spiritual. He's a big time famous pastor. He's young and he's got a couple of 3 kids. But anyway, would Unqualified Mom become a book? I don't know. Yes, no. I'm up for anything.
Mm-hmm. What is the name of your book that you did?
The manuscript, the book I've written.
The manuscript, yeah.
It's called Mommy Rebel.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes, it is. It is Mommy Rebel, and it is that was sparked from my frustration of everyone under the sun telling me that I have to get up early and have a quiet time in order to be a good Christian mom. And I heard it and I believed it, and I heard it and I believed it, and I just felt horrible because I was literally not physically able to get up and have that stinking quiet time that everybody says that I have to have. And I struggled with it for years and years, and finally got to the point where I was just flat out mad. I was just disgusted with it, and I thought, why is this so hard? Because I would try to get up, and I was exhausted. I was in a bad mood. The kids would inevitably interrupt me, and I was just had a really rotten attitude about it because it wasn't working the way I would imagine it to work. So I got so frustrated, I finally said, I'm going to see what the Bible says about this. What does God say about a quiet time? And man, oh man, he started showing me things, and I got in the scripture. Now, I did not get in the scripture when I was sleep deprived. Once baby girl started sleeping through the night, I could get up and I could dig and I could get in the word. And the Lord really started showing me so many things about the rules that are not even real. It's all these fake rules that we live by, and we feel bad because we're not doing what the church and society and ourselves tell ourselves to do. And when I finally just got down to the nitty-gritty, what does the Lord say? He doesn't say anything about getting up at 5:30, even though you went to sleep at 4:30, to have quiet time with him. It's not there. And he showed me so much that changed my life. I said, I have got to share this with other moms. It will change the mommy world for Christians, for Christian moms. It lets you off the hook, and it gives you freedom to be who he has created you to be and not fit inside this little box.
And it is such a good book. I've read it. It is short. It is sweet. It's hilarious. You can sit and you can read it in a morning and it will stick with you, right? I mean, I'm a fast reader, so I can do that, and I don't have time. So I just kind of stayed in the truck after taking my son to practice, and I stayed there and I read it until it was done because I needed it. Wow. It talks about the marriage issue. It's good. It's so good.
Yeah, we talk. I touch on the virtuous woman and how she is just the one that we all aspire to be. The virtuous woman, if you look at her literally in the Bible, she didn't have a bunch of little kids. She was not up all night nursing. She wasn't warming bottles. She wasn't changing diapers. She's busy. She's got older kids. So I just try to tell women, be careful when you're comparing yourself to the virtuous woman. Be careful in your relationship with your marriage and that intimacy there. There's a short little chapter where I compare our physical intimacies with our husband to spiritual intimacy and quiet time with the Lord. Because there are similarities, and that's a little risque. Maybe it's a little bit inappropriate, if you will, but it's issues that Christian women deal with. And when I've got little ones screaming at me, wanting my attention when I'm trying to read the Word, I've got little ones screaming at me wanting my attention when I'm in the bedroom. So how do you deal with this? Nobody's talking about these issues. I don't know anybody talking about these issues. So I wrote the book that I wanted, that I needed.
Yep.
I think that's exciting, and it's definitely filling a need. And you're getting a lot of support in the chat room. People are agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Agreeing with you with what you said about you created the blog so you could
push the book.
Yeah, push the book. We all agreed with that. I don't think I saw any negative in the chat room on that, because that is the reality that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know? And now it is a wonderful platform to express yourself, but in reality, it's also a marketing tool, you know, for us. But then the whole idea of your book. So you're going to try to traditionally publish it. It sounds like first. So you're active as an agent or an editor to pick that up.
That is what I would like to do. Mm-hmm. I can self-publish, and I don't have any problems with that. And I may end up taking that route. What I ultimately want to do is to reach as many people as I possibly can. And I think a traditional publisher is going to be able to accomplish so much more than I would on my own. Yeah. So yes, I would like to pursue that first.
Sure. That's the exact route where a lot of us have taken. Bethany, do you have any advice for her? Next step for her with the manuscript?
For traditional publishing? Yeah. I think like your blog's amazing. They're going to go there. Like email list is going to be big. Social media numbers are going to be big. But like I would say, give yourself freedom to play around on social media, because what I hear from writers all the time is they're always like trying to get permission to not get on social media. Like, do I have to? Like, can I do it in 5 minutes a day? Right. But I see it totally different. Like, social media is your connection point to your reader. And if you truly have a message that God wants you to get out, like, why aren't we spending every spare moment that we have, like, actually communicating with people via our phone? So I'm like totally against the whole, like, spend 5-10 minutes a day on social media. Like, if you're a writer, get it out. So I would say super get invested in one of the social media platforms, probably Instagram, to rise your numbers and start tracking them so that they can see, like, okay, like maybe you've got, I don't know, like 3,000 Instagram followers, but I grew it another 500 to 600 in a very short amount of time. So that number looks good to a publisher because they say she's working, she's building, she's doing this stuff. So I think you have everything in place. I think starting to do a little bit more focus on that will be really good for a proposal. That's what I think.
And writers' conferences, we always talk about writers' conferences. I'm probably hard with kids, homeschooling kids, but if you can get to a writers' conference and do that face-to-face with an agent or an editor, that we have said that how often here on Writers' Chat, Giles, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you too, like my friend Michelle and I, we're starting a traditional publishing house. And so everything, then I look now through the lens of a publisher. Like if we have to invest money for bookstores and things, those numbers actually do matter quite a bit. so it's seeing the other side of that has been really enlightening, I think, for a platform, because it's such a big deal. But I think you've got everything that you need to make this a success.
Yeah. I want to go back to writers' conferences just a little bit. And Robin just said, writers' conferences changed my life. And I think that's true for several of us too. And oftentimes that's a way to get in front of an editor or an agent, of course. But when they meet you and they see you and they see your passion and that vibrancy, I think that can help overcome sometimes lower social media numbers. Because if they get behind you, they're going to push you and be your representative in those pub board meetings. And I know for Bethany, it was life-changing for her to go to a writers' conference. She would not be on this path she is right now if she hadn't attended that first one. So I know it's hard. I know it can be hard when you have kids and all of that. But really, if you can get to a writers' conference where there will be editors and agents who are interested in what you're writing, I think that making that impression is just invaluable.
Makes a big difference. So then maybe that's a tip for everybody here to learn. And one thing before we start wrapping up here and invite everybody back in, Angelene, I noticed on your blog, you also had about speaking. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you're doing speaking-wise and how that has helped your platform?
Well, the one thing I've learned about speaking is until you have an established platform, which mine is not, huge right now, nobody's going to come knocking on your door.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, will you come speak? Will you come speak? Just because you say your speaker doesn't, it means squat. You have to go out and beat the bushes. You have to figure out what you're going to say and who you're going to say it to. So I haven't done any speaking at all in about maybe going on 2 years because I've been trying to figure out what I'm doing with Unqualified Moms. So I'm just now getting back into that. I speak to moms with little kids, with young and in the trenches, we're in diapers and we're spitting up on each other and all of that all day, every day. Those are the moms that I speak to. So when I target groups, I'm targeting some homeschool groups, but mostly the moms of and I go and I talk to them and give them a short, I'll just tell you what my plan is for this year. I'm trying to write an ebook. I'm in the groundwork of writing an ebook so that I can go talk to these moms, these mop groups, and say, I will give you this free book. All you got to do is give me your email address and I'll send it to you. So I'm giving them encouragement. I'm giving them, the ebook. It's something short. It's something little. It's something that they can immediately apply to their lives. And in return, I'm building the platform. That's ultimately what I'm doing. All of this is to build the platform.
That's right.
To push the manuscript.
That's right. And then
great company.
That's perfect. And then include in your ebook too your links back to your website or a freebie. I did a freebie on one of my I call it my perma-free book, and that's out on Amazon. It's called Fuel Your Faith, because that's my audience, and people download that, and I include a link that they have to go to my website, and I say it only in the book do they get them the password to get them to that, to download it. But when they do that, I get their email address. So it's so I give them something within the ebook, something within besides, so you could do it with or without speaking. But that is exact, right on. And I think the MOPS groups are where you need to head,
Yeah, and you got to plan. You got to do this like way in advance. You can't just call them and say, "Oh, I'm available Tuesday. Can I come out there?" They're an organized group, and you've got to. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm with the kids. I'm got the ponytail and yoga pants all day, every day. I have to kind of step outside of myself and change, my comfort zone and start contacting these groups and get on their lists and have a plan. I got to have a plan.
Yeah.
It's different from my regular day-to-day life of homeschooling the kids and going to the grocery store.
Yeah.
So I've got to step out of my comfort zone in order to do that. And then I have to step outside of my comfort zone to actually speak in front of these people.
That's a whole other thing
involved. There's a lot of work and there's a lot of risk.
Yeah, a lot of speakers have one sheets, that talk about their couple different topics and stuff. And I think that you've done that before to get them out to the MOPS group.
Yeah.
Today on the Steve Lobby blog, Dan Balo, I think, was saying how important it is to speak as a writer, because we have in our mind who our audience is, but it's not until we see them face to face and have them come up to us at the end and tell us where they are and why this message won't work for me, that we know exactly where they are and we can hone our message exactly to them. Mm-hmm. And it was really good. So it's on the Steve Lobby blog today. Okay.
So that'll be good. And I like what Tina said here about she loves speaking, but terrified of the cold calling to get gigs. I am right with you, Tina. I'm exactly with you on that. That cold calling just drives me crazy on that. I'd much rather have them come because they saw the blog and ask me. But that takes a long time to build up that word of mouth. It really does.
It does.
On that. Bethany, I keep referring to you for marketing tips. You got marketing tips for speakers or MOPS at all?
Well, just getting the connection. I think usually if you can get a connection with somebody, that's really your in for them. And so then they pass the word around, especially if you tell them. I think even church, sometimes we forget to go local. One of the things I know that I want to do with the dating book for the teenagers is I ordered some copies of it. I'm just going to just give them to the churches and really just doing it with an expectation of not receiving anything back. So that way it's just a gift. because I think that translates to the people you give things to. They can always tell when you're looking for something else. But I'll have in there like, this is what I do, but this is just for you and your girls. And if you only have this one copy and you all share it, that's totally fine. Just giving them permission to not feel like they owe me something for that. But I think just went local, because then you can build up your speaking credits, but you don't have to drive very far, like for gas and things. And then you can also get into different denominations of the churches too, which is good, because sometimes they have boards. Different churches have different boards. Like once you get in with them, they recommend you out to all of their churches. Yeah. So I mean, those are just like small ways to sort of get into things that I'm looking at too. I don't know, I was cracking myself because I said man bun. I don't know. In the comments, you're talking about daily uniform, and I'm like, everything you're saying, I'm like, yes. Like that's exactly what it's like, because we're homeschooling. We have a lot of homeschool, people represented here in the chat too, and like that's what it is. It's just it's hard. Like we don't give ourselves enough grace. I think we have to have this perfect persona. So it's always great, I like, that's why in social media it's fun, because you get to be a little self-deprecating on there sometimes, like just going to be like, why'd you post that? Like, so people need to see like real life.
They like to see your personalities. They really do.
Yeah, I love Unqualified Mom. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I real that. Well, we're starting to run a little short of time. I thought maybe we'd have a quick run, Robin, of the five of us that are here, to give one blogging tip or something that you've learned about blogging, since that was kind of our general focus. Start that. And Johnny, you're unmuted. I'm going to put you on the hook to start. How's that?
Okay, I'm so sorry. I was reading, and what was the question?
Okay, I should have put you on the
Sorry.
Since one of our main focus today was on blogging, is there something you'd like to say about blogging? A tip, something that you've learned, something you wish you knew year before, 2 years before, or whatever? And we'll just do it quick, and then we'll invite everybody back on. And I don't have my answer yet ready either. So
well, I really don't feel like I've got a good tagline either, and I appreciated that conversation about just really, just trying out different things and getting other people involved with that. I mean, I've tried for years and years to come up with what I want, and and I see sometimes other people's and think, oh, why didn't I think of that before they did? But it's that. I'm just going to say, I don't have advice. I just wish I had a great tagline. And if anyone's got an idea for me, send it my way.
It's a process. It's a process on that way. Bethany, what do you have, anything you want to add on blogging in general?
I'm trying to be better at blogging on my website. I do a lot of micro-blogging on social media stuff. But then, like when I was working on my proposal, like you have to actually explicitly say, yeah, I'm not blogging over here, but I'm blogging on the Instagram content, and they probably don't know what that means. So, like, what's one reason why I kicked myself in the butt this weekend. So I think blogging is important consistently and transferring the message over. So I'm still gleaning information from you guys. I guess my advice would be do what my sister does. Like she's consistently blogging, and last night we were on FaceTime and I'm like, what are you doing? I know you're not looking at, what I want you to be looking at right now, because I could hear the keyboard. But she was responding to all of her blog comments. Then she was going to the other bloggers that left her messages and commenting on their stuff. So I'm like, that's what it is. Like you're building the engagement with people. And I thought it was so smart. So kudos, Jill, in the chat right now. And I think that would be my advice, is to do what Jill's doing.
Yeah, that way. Rebecca, do you have anything to add on with thinking about blogging in particular?
Well, kind of what y'all have said in a way. Have a group of friends that you can glean ideas from. And I mean, I know we do here at Writers Chat. That's helped me so much, because just working with Angelene and watching what she does has revolutionized my mindset. And my blog doesn't reflect that yet, but I have in my mind what I want to do. And when my schedule clears a little bit, then I'd really like to do some more of the things that she's shown me. Like I started a video series because Angelene made one little comment one day. I don't even remember what it was, but I remember being like, oh, I can do that. So yeah, I think having a group, a tribe, some friends that are right where you are helps.
I think it does. And stuff. I'll add mine, then we'll go back to Angelene as our final thing. Then we'll invite everybody back in. You guys know the story. I did not want to be a blogger. And it was Johnny and my friends that I met at Florida Christian Writers Conference said, Jeannie, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to build your platform. See, just exactly what you said, Angela. And they dragged me in. And I think, that was 2009, and I've blogged pretty regularly, consistently since then, and then slowly built the platform. on that. So I'm pleased with that. And I would think the other tip I have is kind of goes with what Bethany said about give something away for free. You know, how often I'll sit there and say, you can download this printable I do monthly topics, every month I give them away something free in exchange of their emails. And I've gone back to my most popular posts, because you go back and see that, and have added freebies to those, because apparently those are still doing good when people search for those topics, and then they'll, like I said, they get their email. So I think it has made a big difference. So Angelene, it's been delightful to have you with us. Do you have a final thing that you want to share with us?
I do. I'm going to share the Bible verse that Unqualified Mom is based on, and I'll explain that for just a little bit. But this is the verse that I apply to everything that I'm really, really bad at, and I'm really bad at a lot of things. Homeschooling, I'm really bad at that. The writing, I don't love it. I could live without it. I'm doing it to obey and follow the calling that the Lord has on my life. And as Christian writers, that is the point in doing all of this.
That's right.
And if we lose sight of that, we're not going to be successful, and we're just going to drive ourselves crazy. So whether we're blogging or speaking or writing books, we have to focus on Him and His message and why we're doing this. So the verse that I have, I think Paul wrote 2 Corinthians. So 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. And then Paul says, most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Wow. Glory in my infirmities. That is me. I am finally at a point in my life where I can say, Lord, look at how bad I am at this. I'm just going to just put it out there and say, I hate doing ABC. I hate doing XYZ. I am suffering here. This is my weakness. I know it. You know it. And I'm going to glory in that. I'm going to accept that. I'm going to embrace that. And then that's when it says, the power of Christ may rest upon me. That word rest means stay. The power of Christ will stay with us. And if we're writing within our own reasoning and ideas and within our own strength, I mean, it could be decent, but it's not going to be what the Holy Spirit wants it to be. So when He is all up in the middle of our business, that's the good stuff right there. And we've all experienced that as writers. So if we can accept and embrace our weakness, no matter what it is we're working on, and say, here, Lord, you take it, that's when He comes on the scene and He'll take the ball and run with it.
Wow, what a message. And that's your talk to the moms group.
Yeah.
That's your talk. You could just see that's your core message.
It is.
It is. And I would take that and run with it, because we're inspired. They'll be inspired. So it's not just writers. It's going to be, like you said, those moms need to hear that message so much. So we need more encouragement in the world, don't we? On that way. I have 12. I don't know about the rest of you guys. So I don't know if anybody else wants to hop on for last minute questions while anybody else hops on in before we quit the recording. I'm just going to tell everybody that next week we have one of our own presenting. I don't know if she remembers it. It's Bethany. Talk about marketing and best practices. Did you remember that, Bethany?
Yes. Cue the children.
Cue the kids. Cue the kids.
Yes. I'm excited about this because we just finished in my grad class. We just finished the whole personal brand, which we kind of talked about, the last 10 weeks. It was really, really good. And this one is, we're talking about marketing. This one's even talking about like intentional leadership versus management. And so I feel like God's going to push me just through the ringer in the next 10 weeks. But I'm really excited to go ahead and give you guys stuff that is practical and what they're kind of teaching in like for marketing campaigns. I'm going to be looking at this from like a business side. And then how can we do this ourselves, since we are our public relations managers and our marketing teams. So Story brand is going to be actually a big deal about it. It's mostly going to be, you know, like Rachel was talking about it in the chat, and I just got it. It's amazing. So that's a book I recommend for everybody to read before next week.
So what's the name? What the Story brand book?
He made it. Did he make it to my top shelf? I don't know. Oh, here he is. He's on the second shelf. He's not with Brendan yet.
There you go.
It's called Build a Story Brand.
Building a Story brand. If you can get that before next week, Amazon 2-day shipping or less of your price.
But I'm telling you what, like I'm only this far into the book, and I'm already making changes in my head for how we do websites for like our Serious Writer website, for me as a brand. So this is probably going to be where a lot of it's going to come from, and then pull in some marketing tips as well. So I'm excited about next week.
I am excited. Yeah, so we hope you guys join us. And Angelene, thank you. It's been delightful to get to know you, and it's been encouraging and inspiring. And Rebecca, thank you for bringing her to us. And Steph, we are blessed to know you, and especially the Bible verse.
So good.
So good. So good on that. Any last minute questions before I quit the recording? Then we can have our after party. Hearing nothing. Or what? You got a question? Nope. Okay. Well, thank you guys for being with us today for either live here or watching the replay. We hope you can join us every Tuesday at 11 o'clock here on Writers Chat, where we talk about all things writing. And thank you for being with us today.